I don't say this lightly. I regret buying this book. Actually, no, scratch that. I regret buying the entire damn trilogy because this book, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, might be actually it is one of the most frustrating and horribly written dark magical academia experiences I've had in a very, very long time. And yes, I had the DNFED. And not because it wasn't my vibe or I'll come back later. No, the writing was unbearable. We are talking about confusing, overloaded, poorly structured, and honestly exhausting to read. And I never thought I'd have to say this about a traditionally published book, but it felt like she literally watched Harry Potter, wrote a quick raw manuscript, rushed to the publishing house, used Galadriel from Lord of the Rings, and completely butchered, and I mean massacred and butchered the execution. All right? This is the Read It Rant podcast. It's a rant.
To the Read It and Rant podcast, where we don't sugarcoat it, no filters, no holding back, just raw, loud opinions. So turn it up and get ready
All right,
to rant.
welcome back to the Read It Rant podcast. This is a rant. If you're new here, we give real opinions, no fluff, no fake hype. And on today's episode, this is one of those I really, really tried moments because I didn't just skim this book. I gave it a chance. I pushed through. I thought it was going to get better. I got 30 plus pages in and I had to stop. And honestly, later in this episode, I'm going to break this book down even further. I'm going to break down also why chapter 1 fails extremely hard. We're talking about the biggest mistakes an author can make with world building. And I'm diving into why some of traditionally published books still miss completely. So please buckle up because this is going to be a rant. All right, let's talk about A Deadly Education, all right? It's a dark magical school. No adult supervision, students fighting to survive monsters because the monsters eat wizards and witches in this world, all right? The concept, it should have been amazing. That should have been gripping, intense, high-stakes, magical academia fantasy. Instead, you get thrown into chaos. No build-up, no clarity, no structure. It just drops you right in the middle of everything and expects you to keep up. However, let me say this clearly, okay? The first chapter is horrendous, and I do not use that word lightly. It honestly tries to do everything at once. It tries to introduce the world, explain the magic system, set the tone, build the main character, and establish stakes, all in one chaotic, overwhelming dump, and it fails across the board. It also fails with the writing style. It is literally the biggest issue. The writing feels a non-stop stream of thoughts, run-on sentences, long paragraphs, with literally no breathing room. It reads like an unorganized manic info dump. There's no rhythm, no flow, no structure, and as a reader, you feel lost. You know, with bad writing comes bad character development also. And I want to talk about Elle, because she's the main character. Because this is where it got worse for me. She's constantly complaining. She's literally miserable on every page. It's really hard to connect with. And I kept thinking to myself, please don't be insufferable. And unfortunately, dude, oh my god, she was. Along with that too, there's a confusion factor. The magic system, it's poorly explained. The plot is barely clear. I didn't know. 36 pages in, I don't know what the heck I'm even reading about. The world building is thrown at you all at once instead of being built. You're expected to understand everything without being given the tools to understand it. By page 36, I was done. I had no idea what the main direction of the story was. I wasn't connected to the characters, and the writing style made it a work to read. And that is the worst thing you as an author can do to your reader. And I also want to take a moment, because this book was poorly written across almost every single facet, and talk about why traditional publishing does not guarantee, because this book proves it. Because somewhere along the line, this book should have been stopped. And others too that make the same mistake this book does too. What needs to happen with books like these is they need to be edited harder, restructured, rewritten, and simplified, because this reads like a first draft that never got cleaned up and it never went to an editor. So with that in mind, authors, can you please understand the problem with overloaded world building, that more complexity does not equal a better story. Also, you're going to confuse your reader if you write with complexity without clarity. All in all, this book has an amazing concept. It has terrible execution. It's overwritten to the point of exhaustion. The main character drains the experience. The world building is dumped, not developed. It's one of the easiest DNFs I have made in a long time, actually ever. Let's zoom out too for a minute. Hold on. This style failed across the board, and I want to kind of, dial into it a little bit more, because this isn't just about one book either. It's about books like this that info dump. And let me explain. When a book throws too much at you, doesn't pace information, it doesn't guide the reader disconnects like extremely early. What should have happened with this book, actually, and other books in this genre that make the same mistake this book does, this story should have been built with the world being built gradually. You introduce the magic system step by step. You focus on one clear narrative thread. You know, if the story would have focused on those points, readers wouldn't feel the need to DNF these kind of books. However, I want to touch on something a reader will do to DNF with the criteria it needs to be met for a reader to DNF books like these. You know, if a reading feels like work, if you're reading the text and it doesn't feel immersive, and it feels like you're fighting the book and you constantly have to go back and reread the previous paragraphs or sentences or whatever, and there's going to be a serious clarity issue. It has a horrible prose, and if the reader can't figure out what the plot is, readers like me, they're going to put the book down for good. They're either going to donate it or they're going to, give it to their library. So with all that in mind, now that I explained myself pretty clearly on that rant, I want to know what my viewers think. Let's talk, because Book Talk has some serious... I'm actually surprised how much Book Talk actually agrees with what I just said. And I want to know, my viewers, did you finish A Deadly Education? Does it get better later, or did you struggle like I did? Drop it in the comments, because I am genuinely curious, because page 36 on, even from chapter 1, page 1 to page 36, the writing is all over the place. It's unorganized, because I don't know if it's just me, but at the end of the day, not every book is for everyone. But this book just wasn't for me. This was a structural mess. It was unorganized. It was a manic tirade that never pulled me in. And if this is on your TBR, do yourself a favor. Try before you commit, or maybe skip it entirely. Because this book, I wish I would have had one of those somebody share the truth moments with me of what this book really was before I spent my money on all 3 books. And I need to figure out how to get rid of them, because I'm not going to read them because they're written horribly. But in any event, tomorrow we're going to come back with something that actually delivers. So make sure you're locked in. Follow, subscribe, and repost, and stick with the Read It Rant podcast. We don't sugarcoat anything. This is the Read It Rant podcast. That was a rant, and we are out.